Hello, hi, hello, good evening everyone. Okay, in my video today, I will be sharing a few of the things that I have learned from my past friends, which they actually taught me some of the good things that we can actually practice before we go race. These are the things which I will be sharing to you, how we can actually enjoy race better and have a better experience, right? So the things that I'll be covering today would be how do we actually do the timer roll, whether we are a DPS or a healer, and also what are the things that we can actually take into consideration before we go for raid. How do we make ourselves look more presentable? How do we make the raid more enjoyable for us and also for our friends, whether if it's with guildmates or with public perma party, it is all the same. So these are the things which I will be sharing with you, and also how we can make our FPS much more smoother by reducing and adjusting a few tweaks here and there. Yeah. Okay. So first thing first, let's go to game settings. Now, I believe most of us may know this already, but for those who do not, I hope this will be quite useful for us. When you come to game settings, you see this window. Don't adjust the other thing except for these two, which is status bar and self-info. These are the two most important things. So what is status bar and self-info? Status bar is actually the bar that actually allows us to see the HP bar which is above our character set. Now as you can see, when I turn it off, you will not be able to see it, but when I take it, so you can see there is that HP bar right just above my head, below my character's ingredient. This is actually very useful when we go for raid, because I noticed that some of us did not actually take this. So we actually have to rely on looking at our HP on the left side of the screen, or the top left, which is our character interface there, right? So what is the advantage of actually taking this? I would actually suggest doing this because during raid, we may be very much focused in DPSing or healing. We do not have the time to actually avert our eyes to focus on what is our HP percentage at the left side. So having said this, we actually can focus much better in the raid because the HP will just appear right above us, right? So this one, I would very much recommend us to take this, right? This is very important. So for our guildmates and friends who have not taken this, please do so. For self-info, what is this? So self-info is actually when you take this, when you DPS, you will notice there is numericals appearing from the screen when you deal the damage. So in raid, actually this can be quite a nuisance because we are trying very hard to see what the boss is doing. For example, the boss behavior may show a certain sign of a stomp or a breath, or maybe a very important mechanic is coming. But if you have that numericals from our damage being dealt, being shown on our screen, it would actually hinder us. Okay, so for this, I would much recommend us to untick it. Yeah? Untick. So when you untick this, when you go to DPS, you will notice that the numbers will be gone, and you will notice that you will have a much easier time to look at what the boss is doing. Alright, so this one I would very much recommend us to untick it. Alright, so those two things, please keep that in mind. Now the next thing I would recommend also is of course when we go for raids, right, these three items, which is the muffin, salad and the cake, I noticed there are a lot of us also got confused that we could combine them, say like 10% from the muffin of the attack and the cake 15%, or if I eat this and this, it will become 10 plus 15, 25. No, alright, so these three, alright, these three, they are mutually exclusive, so you cannot stack them. You can only choose one. Alright, so usually for raid, we go for cake for the high end rates. Alright, for the lower rates, maybe we could just use muffin or salad. Alright, and also when we go for raids with our friends or with the public perma parties, I would much suggest us to prepare to bring at least one or two, so you make ourselves look more presentable and that we are prepared for the raid. Okay, now For timer row, this may be a little bit new for some of us who have not tried what timer row is. So why do we do timer row? Alright, timer row is actually important because we need to know certain mechanics such as bar max or the BSD. Alright, the BSD from Gas Dragon, or maybe say the stage 3 element switching from Treasure Raid. So these things are very important to keep track. Many of us may not have experienced this timer row, so that is why today I will be demonstrating how we do the timer row. Timer row actually has two methods, which is using a self-buff. In this case, for my class as a sniper, I have my Spiritual Axle, which lasts 900 seconds when I cast. Alright, but if you do not want to use this, your self-buff, you can also use your phone or a clock counter or anything that you feel more comfortable, alright, which you can hold on externally in your hand. Okay, now for self-buff, I'll be demonstrating a bit how we actually do this in a very simple way, alright? It's actually very simple. So for self-buff, as you can see, the moment when I cast, you can see on the top left corner here, Spiritual Axle. Alright, so the moment I cast it, 900 seconds begin counting. So for example, say in Gas Dragon, the BSD is 100 seconds. So 900 seconds minus 100 seconds would mean 800 seconds. So by the time my Spiritual Axle reach 800, that would be the time where the Blade Storm would appear. Do you understand? So how do we actually use this timer to determine or predetermine how many seconds are remaining? So we actually make use of something called macro. Alright, now I'm very much sure that you guys are familiar what are these first 6, alright, because we use them often, but many of us may not be so familiar with these 4. So for this macro, I have my own setting, which is I set it at 30, 20 and 10. Now for macros here, you can also use for any other pre-action, say for example storm, or you say you want to help your teammates with a breath, you know, or maybe a rebuff and so on. It's all up to us based on our creativity or our own style. Yeah. So for my case, since I'm doing a timer, this is how I set for my time, right? For the timer, which is 30, 20 and 10. Yeah. So how do I do this? Say if 30 seconds remaining, that means to say 900 seconds. Alright, so minus 100 seconds earlier, which is 800 seconds, right? So at 830 seconds remaining, this would be 30 seconds left. And at 820 of my Spiritual Axle, right, that would be 20 seconds left. At 810, that would be 10 seconds left. So that is how I keep track of my timer rows for myself and for my teammates. Alright. Now I will demonstrate this one time for us in say in the SDG. Okay. Yeah. Because in the raids when we do timer, of course we wouldn't be just standing still and keeping track of the timer, because we will also be busy DPSing and healing, right? So it is important that we practice timer roll, be it in nests or dungeons. But for me, I would personally prefer to do this in the Sunset Training Ground, because I can also practice my rotation while doing timer roll at the same time. Yeah, it is actually a very good habit for us, right? To keep this as a practicing method. Okay, so I'll just give us an example of how we actually do this timer. Alright. Now, so say if I buff now, so you can see my timer has started 900 seconds. Alright, so we'll be using 100 seconds for the BSD as an example. So keep in mind when we are raiding, of course we have to keep in mind of our rotation, and also we have to keep our eye focused on the self-buff. Yeah? So that is how we practice, because this is a skill where we need to learn how to focus on both, right? Of course, initially it will be quite distracting for us because we are trying to do two things at once, alright? So as you can see, my timer here is 850, so I still have another 50 seconds, right? So it's 40 seconds now, alright? So the moment it reaches 8:30, what I do is I will hit this button like that for my teammates, right? While I continue my DPS. And as you can see, as you approach 8:20, I will then hit 20 seconds, right? Like that. And finally, as it closes into 8:10, I will then trigger 10 seconds remaining, alright? This is just an example, alright? So 5 seconds left. So maybe by then I would ask my teammates to retreat, alright? So let's say if the BST has already triggered, it's important that we rebuff. Rebuff is to know that we already reset the timer. So we repeat again. So we have to just focus our DPS rotation, but also remember to keep in mind of that timer, yeah? So this is how we practice for the timer roll, alright? Don't worry if occasionally we may miss out the timer, yeah? If you forget, it is normal, it's a common mistake, that's why we need to practice, yeah? So you can see it's already 60 seconds remaining, yeah? And so it's 50 seconds remaining. Then we have 40 seconds now. As you can see, it's 8:40, right? So you can see it's now 30 seconds remaining, yeah? And then we have 20 seconds remaining. Have to keep in mind to DPS and also to dodge also, yeah? So let's say 5 seconds, maybe I could say retreat for my teammates, yeah? That's how we keep track. And then say BST comes, rebuff again, yeah? To keep track of the time. So I hope you actually find this video useful for us. I hope this will actually give us some exposure and experience on how we can actually use the timer roll in a very convenient way for us, alright? So thank you very much for watching my video. I hope you enjoy, and I'll see you next time.